Hello, twisted humans.
Do you find yourself wanting to know more about the latest murder, conspiracy, cult, or haunting?
Then this is the podcast for you. I'm Alicia.
And I'm Sierra, and this is
Twisted and Uncorked. So, before we get started on our very first volume of listener stories, I got some goodies in the mail from Sierra with our patron stuff. Two of her favorites that if you are either a current patron or you've seen any of our bloopers or little funnies that I post on social media, you will know that I have profusely made fun of Sierra for eating tuna out of a bag. So she sent me her favorite flavor, the buffalo.
Yeah, it tastes like buffalo chicken dip.
And I am so excited to try it. It's canned tuna, but in a bag, and it's got fun flavors.
Mm-hmm.
And as we learned, it's dolphin safe.
Whatever that means.
So I'm super excited to try that. And then Skyline Chili, which has a story in and of itself, which I believe originates at a restaurant, but you can also get.
Yes, Skyline is a Cincinnati-only restaurant. Well, it's supposed to be a Cincinnati-only restaurant, but other places have liked it so much you can now find it in Kentucky, Indiana, and Clearwater, Florida, which is really random. What did you just do?
It's a good thing I'm wearing a dark shirt. I took a sip out of it, but I didn't have it fully in my mouth, so it just shot down my top.
Oh my gosh.
So now I'm covered in wine, but it's fine. I needed to wash the shirt anyway. Sierra and I are good at recording with each other by now that like when some sort of crisis is happening on the other side, it's like, oh God, what's going on? I didn't want to interrupt her story, so I just sat there with wine dripping down my boobs like any good friend would do.
It's not as good out of the can as it is at the restaurant, but that's the only way I can get it right now anyway, so it's good.
So I'm doing it like Sierra would.
Yes.
But welcome to Twisted and Uncorked, where we talk about companies that don't sponsor us.
Exactly. Before we get started, I wanted to kind of talk about ourselves.
Yes.
Can we do some shameless plugs?
Yes, we sure can.
So we already know that you guys like us because you're here right now and you're listening. It's so great of you. But I want to ask for just a little bit more from you, if you feel so inclined. Obviously, hit the subscribe button on whatever podcast listening platform you're on right now so you don't miss an episode.
Yes.
Also, rate and review on the platform you're using.
Yes.
Leaving a review is literally like the very best way to help us get recognized by others. And the more people who recognize us, the more funds we will have to create newer and better content. And speaking of newer and better content, if you haven't checked out our Patreon yet, I'm just going to tell you all about it because it's amazing. For just $1, you have access to all of our episodes ad-free. Like right now, you're getting ads on this episode. Sorry, but this is expensive. If you want it ad-free, just give us $1. Like, that's an amazing deal.
$1 whole.
And with that $1, you can join us at the end of every month for a movie night. We live stream movies to the Patreon audience and then talk with the listeners about the movie we just watched. Fun stuff.
And they have been lots of fun.
Yes. If you want even more than just ad-free episodes and movie nights, you can spend $3 and get all of that plus early access to the episodes, an exclusive sticker, and bonus content such as behind-the-scenes videos that don't make it to our normal episodes, and a Bitch and Wine episode where you can learn a little more about what grinds our gears.
Which sometimes takes random topics like bagged tuna,
yes,
Skyline Chili. And sometimes we dive down our 90s childhood rabbit holes and go over every musician,
Did that episode
every
get
song.
Put up?
Oh yeah, it's there.
For $5, you'll get all of those things, plus an exclusive magnet and a bonus episode each month. The bonus episode is literally just extra twisted content that we know you all love. So it's just like a regular episode, except both of us are telling a creepy story. For $10, this is where, in my opinion, the fun really starts. You'll get everything previously mentioned, plus an exclusive enamel pin. Point to your pin. Monthly Q&A sessions where our patrons can get to know us better in a live Zoom meeting, asking us whatever questions they want. And you'll also get access to our TV series recap episodes. So as an example, for the month of February, we watched one episode a week of Murder on Middle Beach, and every Friday we released our thoughts about the episode we had just watched. And it's seriously my favorite thing we've ever done on Patreon so far. This month we are watching Crime Scene, The Vanishing at the Cecil Hotel. It's amazing.
Oh my God. So good.
For $15, you'll get everything I just mentioned, plus an exclusive keychain. So cute.
Bitch and wine.
Yes. And 20% off our merch store. And then for $20, you'll get, again, all of the above, plus an exclusive wine glass or mug. There it is.
Ooh.
So I just need you guys to tell me right now,
I don't
through
think
your
Sierra-
headphones, yell through your headphones to your car if you're listening to this. Tell me a Patreon page that offers better perks than ours for less. There isn't one. There isn't.
Sierra hasn't mentioned she makes these decals herself.
I do.
I don't think she was ready for me to drop my headphones, jump over a coffee table, and run across my house for this. But I did.
Okay,
She-
that's all the shameless plugging I'm doing. Sorry.
I think you did an amazing shameless plug. Anyways.
Anyways,
I
okay.
miss Sierra. I haven't talked to her all weekend. Okay,
All
I'm not sorry.
It's been like since when?
been-
Tuesday. God damn. It's Monday. It's been almost a whole week.
It's unacceptable.
It really is.
Is what it is. Listen to story time. I'm going to go first because I have two and Sarah has one. The one thing I was going to say is that we are just going to do these in volumes. We get listener stories inconsistently, so we're not going to make promises on when the next volume is going to be. We are just going to base it on stocks of however many we get in. And
Yeah.
then we can space those out. So the reason I just wanted to preface that because some podcasts do it more regularly, but as we get more stories, we'll obviously fit those in where we can because this is so much fun for us. This is literally for you, by you, about you.
Yes. It's great. It's all about you. And we love sharing our thoughts on your stories. So definitely send them to us. Today is kind of like an example episode. This is what it's going to look like once you guys send in some more.
Exactly. Because Sierra and I are going to include some personal spooky accounts.
Yeah. Our own
That we're
stories.
excited to share. So it could be any story. It could be somebody creepy followed you around the bookstore. It could be you saw a ghost at the end of your hallway. It could be your uncle was abducted by an alien. It could be whatever.
You survived
Creep.
a train crash.
You survived a shark attack.
Oh, yes.
In case you didn't listen to last week's episode. And I won't say last week. I will say episode 7 because I'm actually not sure when I'm going to post this. So we'll work that out after.
Yeah.
But yes, Sierra's episode 7. Crazy unsolved case shark attack.
Or not.
Stalker. You tell us. Did you have a stalker? Because I did
Yes.
in high school. And that's not part of my stories, but I did in high school. And it got weird real fast. So we
Yeah.
want to know about that. So yeah.
So I have an actual crazy, creepy story. But first, let me tell the story that everybody wants to know. And that is the very close encounter with murder, that I experienced.
Sorry, I totally put Sierra on the spot here because
Yeah.
I thought that's the story she was telling.
So my grandfather was murdered when I was in 9th grade. I was at my friend's house. I remember staying the night at my friend Samantha's house. I got a phone call in the morning from, I believe it was my sister, and she was like, "Oh my gosh, have you heard yet?" And I said, "Heard what?" And she said, "Turn on the news." And I turned on the news, and my mom and my cousins were standing outside my grandpa's house, and there was police, caution tape and police everywhere. And I was like, "What is going on?" And she's like, "Papa Fred was murdered." And I was like, "Oh, what? Like, that doesn't happen in real life. Like, what? No, no.
Right?
Like,
That's such
that's on
shocking
TV.
news
What
for
are you
any
talking
kid to
about?"
get. Yeah.
And I started crying, and I went home. My dad picked me up. This was the point in my life that I often talk about in Patreon episodes anyway, where me and my mom were not that close. My parents had split up, and I took my dad's side. So my parents were split up at the time, but my dad was still pining over my mom. um, it was a whole big mess. I wanted them to get back together. My dad wanted them to get back together. Anyway, he helped her 100% of the way through everything.
I picture little Sierra like trying to like play matchmaker with her own
Yeah.
parents too.
Yes, exactly. Um, so the First 48, the TV show called The First 48, actually came out and investigated my grandpa's murder. It's on TV. It's season 7, episode 21, I think. I could have those wrong. It's been a long time since I had to say that. The episode is called Seeing Red. I know that much. What had happened? They came in and
I know what I'm doing later.
yeah, I'll see if I get. It's actually so. The First 48 does 2 stories per episode, and so the first one is Bailout. So it's called Bailout / Seeing Red. Seeing Red is my grandpa's story.
Good to know.
Yeah, easier to look up that way. So when they got there, my grandpa's dog was actually in the upstairs unit. So my grandpa owned his whole house. There was 2 units. It was a 2-family house. There was an upstairs unit and a downstairs unit with 2 different doors. He lived in the downstairs side, and the upstairs side was lived in by so many people in my family in the past. My grandma lived in there for a while because my grandparents were separated, but they were the kind of people that didn't believe in divorce. So they both had relationships, but they weren't divorced. They would never actually divorce. So she lived upstairs for a while. My aunts lived upstairs for a while. I think my mom stayed upstairs for a while, but at the time, it was my aunt's boyfriend who lived up there. So my mom has 2 sisters, my mom, and then she has a younger sister and an older sister. And I don't know how, but my mom, no offense to them who might be listening, turned out to be the only one that did not fall into addiction. Okay. Both my mom's older sister and my mom's younger sister have in the past been addicted to heroin, and their children have not done so well either. My mom's older sister, her name is Connie. She has a daughter named Tina. She also fell into addiction pretty hard, and her biological son is actually my brother. That's the brother that my parents adopted. So anyway,
I think it's wonderful, and heroin is tough.
My uncle is what I called him. My uncle Mark is the one who lived upstairs at the time, and he was my mom's younger sister's. I'm saying younger, but I don't mean like younger than my mom. My mom was the youngest. Does that make sense? Okay. Yeah. Anyway, the younger sister of the 2.
Yep. I was like, yep. Okay. No, I'm there.
She was Mark's girlfriend at the time. So even though they weren't married or whatever, they had been together for a little while. And, we called him Uncle Mark. That was my uncle. So when the First 48 team got there, my grandpa's dog was in Mark's part of the house. So he was in a different house. And Mark wasn't home. Mark actually worked for my grandpa. I can't honestly tell you what he was doing at this time. My grandpa had owned a lot of businesses, and Most of them he just literally paid for. He didn't actually work at any of them. Some of them were halfway
Like he
houses.
bought the business, but somebody else was running
Right.
it, kind of.
Yeah. So there was a lot. I don't know what Mark did. I know Mark worked for him. My grandpa was inside, right inside his front door, laying on the ground in only his t-shirt and underwear, which is what he did. He laid on his couch in his t-shirt and underwear and watched Walker, Texas Ranger every day after work. But he was laying on the ground right inside of his front door, and he had been stabbed 7 times, and he died from blood loss. My aunt, the oldest one, and her daughter, the one who is the biological mother of my brother, were actually the ones who called 911. So they, at the time, were, you know, fighting their addiction and going through their addiction, and they often visited my grandpa to borrow money from him. And they went to the house, knocked on the door, no one answered. They were like, "What's going on?" They tried to get into his back door, which you can't get in through the back because he always put a dresser in front of the back door, but you can still see in from the back. So they actually busted out the back window so that they could see into the house. They were like the weird foggy glass windows. Anyway, they busted out the black back window to see into the house, which was into his bedroom. And he wasn't in there. They peeked their head in and saw him laying on the ground in the living room. And they yelled out to him a couple times. He never answered. So they went across the street to the payphone, and my cousin called 911. And the 911 audio is on the episode of the first 48. She says that, she needs an ambulance. Something's wrong with her papa. He's laying on the ground. He's not moving. She can't get into his house, blah, 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 whatever. So then my aunt and my cousin leave because they're most definitely high at the time, having, drugs on them. They didn't stay. They called the police. They told the address. The police showed up. They were gone. After the first 48 came in and, they discovered that the dog, who was my grandpa's dog, was actually in my uncle's part of the house. My uncle was not there. They assumed, okay, this kind of looks like the prime suspect, right?
Not a good look.
Yeah. So inside of the house, like I said, my grandpa was laying on the ground, but there were feet prints outside and feet prints inside of shoe prints that were not my...
It's like in blood?
Yes, in blood, though, but shoe prints, yeah, that were not my grandpa's shoes. There were also shoe prints on top of the counter in the kitchen. And in the bathroom, there was blood splattered all over the shower walls. So in the end, it was discovered what had happened was Mark came down after he had gotten a paycheck from my grandpa. He was upset about the amount that was on the paycheck. Supposedly, he says he was drunk. I'm pretty sure he was high. But he said he was drunk because he actually pled insanity. But anyways, he said he was drunk. He said he came down just to talk. My grandpa raised his voice, and so he stabbed him 7 times. And then he climbed up on the counter of my grandpa's kitchen to find my grandpa's gun because he wanted to blow his own brains out. Then he talked himself out of it, took a shower, cleaned all the blood off of himself, got in his own truck, and drove to Kentucky, which is where one of his daughters from a previous relationship lives. And he sat outside her house and talked to her on the phone until the police came and got him. He did plead insanity for being under the influence of alcohol, even though, again, I'm pretty sure he was high.
And is that an insanity plea? Insanity is mentally unfit to stand trial as a person, not at the time of the trial.
Oh, yeah, no. It was for temporary insanity is what it was. Yeah, temporary insanity due to intoxication. He got 15 years. It's 15 until his first parole hearing or whatever. I don't know. 15 to life, but his 15 years is up in 2022. So that's fun. Um, and throughout this entire last 14 years, he has been sending letters to my family. He sends letters to my cousin, and he sends letters to my aunt, who was, dating him at the time. Him and my aunt do have 2 or 3 kids together. Sorry, my aunt has a lot of kids. I'm not sure how many. I think it's 2. Anyway, so she does keep in contact with him. It's really weird. I hate it. But he did in those letters say that he was not temporarily insane. He knew exactly what he was doing. And he did it because my grandpa was not treating my aunt well. He says he did it for her. He said he went to every meeting with the business. My grandpa planned on giving all of the money from all of the businesses to his new girlfriend's family. And he always talked bad about his own children. And Mark was tired of hearing this person who he thought of as his father-in-law talk badly about the person who he thought of as his wife. So he decided to kill him. And I feel like he says it to make it sound like it was fucking romantic or something, but it's not. So yeah, it's a lot. Oh, the real kicker is after the first 48 was done, the crime was solved, they had their person, the house needed to be cleaned up, and my grandpa didn't have very good home insurance. So the insurance didn't have, a clause where if something happened, it would be cleaned up after. And it's expensive as shit to hire crime scene cleaners. So
Wouldn't know.
yeah, my dad, being the knight in shining armor that he is, told my mom, "Don't worry about it. I'll take care of it." And he went to clean it up, and he brought me with him, and we mopped up my grandpa's blood that was literally seeping through the hardwood floors into the basement.
Oh my god!
Insane. Yeah. And then the house was demolished, so I don't know why they wanted us to fucking clean it anyway.
Oh my god, that's so trapped. Why did your dad bring you?
Me and my dad, because of my parents, were like best friends at the time, and I guess he just kind of needed help. And I was like, I'll go. Yeah, it was a mess though.
And thus began Sierra's love of true
And here I am trying to figure out every other crime scene since.
What the hell? That's insanity. So Sierra has just like dropped little like random hints about the story, but I've never actually heard the story. And she keeps telling me you'll hear it on our first listener story. And then she wasn't even planning to tell it today. So I had to put her on
it's just such a like normal part of my life, and it happened.
I've already found
like,
the episode and I will be linking it in the show notes. I'm joking.
You can. It's fine.
No. I will. If you're okay with it. But that's so
that's
cool.
fine.
Like
I'm not in it.
It's
fine.
It's horrible, like absolutely tragic.
Yeah.
But it's a cool story.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Like without sounding insensitive.
Yeah, no, it's interesting for sure. Like super interesting, crazy.
I guess that's kind of what we do every day.
Yeah.
With regular murders.
Yeah. It's like you'd never imagine something like this happening to you, and then it does. Weird.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Well, R.I.P. What was your grandpa's name?
Fred Tucker.
Fred Tucker. R.I.P. Fred Tucker. Your granddaughter is real rad, and she's carrying on your story well.
Thank you.
And honestly, I'm secretly hoping that your uncle doesn't get parole. Is that terrible?
No, because I am so pissed off that they let him go with the temporary insanity plea. That pisses me off, especially after all of these letters now. And I know double jeopardy, whatever, but he has literally admitted that I knew exactly what I was doing. I did it on purpose. That pisses me off. I actually have one of the letters, like physically. Are
those not admissible though? Like,
well, it's after the fact. He's already been charged. He can't be charged again.
No, but if further evidence comes into play, could that not be used? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either.
You should look into that.
Well, anyway.
Cheers to Fred.
Yes, cheers to Fred.
Cheers. I'm gonna pour one out. I'm gonna pour one out for Fred. Because he deserves a little bit of shit mix, whatever I made. I mean that in the most respectful way, sir, if you knew who I was.
Yeah.
I'm so excited for your UFO one. So we're just like giving you guys everything we got. So we better get something in return for this.
These are like
vulnerability.
examples
Yeah.
of things that we want to hear. Except these are actually our stories for real.
Yeah, no. And insane. So for any of our listeners that listened to the original Twisted and Uncorked episode 5 would know that I covered the old spaghetti factory. However, I covered a different location. And this is where I met my husband and where my husband still works. So I will not triangulate the location. I will just say that it is a different one than the one in Gastown, which I covered. So the old spaghetti factory I worked at, I worked there for about 8 years. This location, we're not naming locations. The furniture and the decor that's brought in, including mirrors, masks, stained glass lamps, chairs, tables, paintings, etc., are all antique, genuine antiques. And no one really knows where they come from. Usually estate sales, sometimes just like regular antique stores, especially in downtown Vancouver. So most of the locations experience some sort of paranormal activity.
It's like my daughter's colonial times.
Yes, I was just about to say. So most of the time when we hear of hauntings, we hear of spirits that maybe haven't been able to move on, something that has unfinished business, something that's stuck to something. Like there's a variety of things, but the belief about the hauntings at the old spaghetti factory is that they're all attached to these antiques, like Sierra's daughter's dresser. Something is attached to that dresser.
Mm-hmm.
In my time there, I managed for 4 years. So I dealt with a different level of spooky in those 4 years of managing.
Yeah.
But we will get to all of those stories because one of the stories that I have within this little mini story is from when I was 16 years old when I first got hired and I was bussing. So
oh my goodness.
I was bussing tables and I was like, I still want to work here. I don't know what's wrong with me. Whatever that says about me. One night that I was managing, we had a large birthday party in the back section, about 30 people. It was a kid's birthday party with a dinosaur theme. The mom brought in a bundle of helium balloons and a buttload of other decorations. At the end of the dinner and cake, the mom handed out the balloons to any kid that wanted to take one home. And one that was heavily played with, she told me that it had a leak in it and to toss it out. I let her know that it was no issue and that I would clean up all of the decorations that they left behind after they were done. I'm not just going to take your random pop balloon as they come, lady.
Yeah.
Other than the kitchen crew, managers were the first to arrive and set up the service area in the morning and the restaurant before opening. So on this particular instance, I was closing from that night and opening the next morning, which really sucked.
Yes.
The next morning, I walked into the back door and around the corner to find the same balloon that I'd thrown out, that the woman had requested I throw out because it had a leak in it, was floating in front of the bread drawer.
Inside?
Oh, it was a round silver balloon with a cartoon T-Rex on it. So I really will not ever forget it. And the T-Rex was red. So the bread drawers were kind of like right before you walk into like the service area of like where the servers would get pops and salads and that kind of stuff. So it was floating right there. Now, given the fact that I met my husband at this restaurant, I had lots of guy friends in the kitchen. I was like, one of them is clearly messing with me.
Yeah.
Nope. That balloon was popped. So how was it floating in front of the bread drawer?
Yeah.
Don't like it.
Don't like it at all.
In fact, the kitchen guys had no idea what I was talking about and said when they got there that morning that it was already there. So I took the balloon back outside, back to the garbage, and was extremely unsettled, hoping to never see it again, which thankfully I did not. The bar room was a never-ending game for me. So I was the bar manager at one point. Um, However, one aspect of closing the restaurant when you managed was to shut off all the lights in the restaurant, set the alarm, and then leave. So all of the light switches for the restaurant were right inside the bar room, which is where we had like all of our backup liquor, our boxes of wine hooked up to our taps that weren't the whites that were in the fridge, things like that,
Mm-hmm.
mop bucket, storage, random stuff. So we would shut off all the lights, set the alarm that was right outside the door, shut the door, and then leave. So the alarm panel, like I said, was located just outside the bar room door, but all the light switches were inside. So I would frequently uh, turn on the alarm, shut off all the lights, and leave through the front door. However, because I worked a lot of double shifts or triple shifts sometimes, I forgot to park at the front of the restaurant, which is where managers were supposed to park because they're the last person to leave. So they're right at the
Yeah.
front. I would usually be parked around back, which is where I would start in the morning. So often I would do my little routine, walk out towards the back of the restaurant, drive my car around back up the front, and the bar room door would be open with the lights on inside the bar room, sometimes with a few of the restaurant lights left on.
Oh my gosh.
So, me being the perfectionist that I am, not wanting to get in trouble, I would park my car, unlock the front doors, disable the alarm, shut off the lights again, enable the alarm again, shut the barroom door, run out the front door, lock the front door, and try and leave. So
Mm.
this game occurred constantly. There was more than one morning that my GM would be like, "Hey, you left the barroom door open," or "Hey, you left the lights on," or "Hey, this happened." And I'd be like, "No, no, sir, I
Yeah.
did not." On one night in particular, I remember doing this game 3 times before just
Goodness
being like,
gracious.
"You win. You
Yeah.
win. I am leaving." Especially some of these days, I had worked 13, 14 hours straight.
Yeah.
I was
Oh,
done. I didn't want to play. One time he gave me shit about it, and I told him what had happened, and his response was, and just so everybody knows, all of the floor managers at a senior level, which would be like a GM or a PM, which is the only two levels I didn't hold, had to do their training at the Gastown location that I covered in episode 5. So Chris, being our GM, had gone through that training. So his response to all of this was, "Yeah, sounds about right."
oh my gosh.
Indicating to me that these things have happened to him in the past as well.
Yeah.
And for anybody that has not listened to that episode, and is wondering where it is, because Sierra and I are kind of starting fresh, I've been removing episodes as I go. That was an episode that I wasn't particularly in love with. So, patrons, you will not find that on there. I've posted all of the episodes that will be going to our twisted archives, as I've been calling it on our Patreon.
Mhm.
But I do plan on redoing this because I
I
spent
would
almost a
love to know
decade of my
more.
life here. So,
Yeah.
yes, and that was kind of the reason that I wanted to redo it. This last one happened to me when I first started at the restaurant as a busser. I was 16 years old and saving for a car. So, on Friday and Saturday nights, I would offer to close since only one busser was needed until the very end of the night, because it would start off with 4. And as the night got slower, the sections were cut and closed off, it would
Yeah.
dwindle down. So my GM at the time was a different one than this particular manager that had said, "Yeah, that's about right." He was an older manager that I managed when I was younger. He asked if I would go do a washroom check slash a perimeter check. So basically, that's when you go in the bathrooms and you check to make sure nobody's in there, and then you go and do like a little walk around, like the down the hall, like in the little nooks and crannies of the restaurant, basically, and make sure nobody's there. So he asked if I would go do a bathroom check as the restaurant was starting to dwindle down, to make sure that nobody was lasting in the restaurant before the host locked the front door. We also had to make sure that the toilets were flushed, garbages were pushed down, and any tissues or spills got cleaned up. I remember going into the boys' bathroom first, doing a quick peek under the 2 stalls. No one was there. Finished my little routine and went into the girls' bathroom. So to this day, I am almost 28. I started here when I was 15. To this day, I do not go to the bathroom by myself.
Oh my gosh.
The girls' bathroom has 8 stalls, 2 rows of 4. I went up one row, pushing back every door, which made a little slam noise as it hit the door stopper.
Mm-hmm.
and cleaned up the stalls accordingly. I was the only one in there, and on one stall in particular, I felt a push out of it. Like as soon as I would open the door to like check inside of it, I felt like a push back.
Oh
Like
my
I'm
gosh.
I'm still in here. I am sorry. I did not mean to interrupt you.
Yeah.
Spam ghost, please finish your business before I continue doing what I'm doing.
Oh my gosh.
So at the time, I had no idea about these happenings in the restaurant because I was still brand new. So it struck me as super weird, but I continued down the rows. Yet another stall door slammed, but this time slammed shut before I could even open the stall. I peeked under the door just in case that there was feet that I just maybe didn't see, and I'd almost walked in on somebody going to the bathroom. Nope, I went out of there running, and I would never
Oh
go into the
my
bathrooms again without a
gosh.
work buddy. It's been 3 years. Oh, I wrote this a long time ago. Wow. And every time myself or another friend that's worked at this location in particular, that's they go to the bathroom in a buddy system for a reason. So Sierra, I will show this to you for our listeners that have seen it on social media. I posted a little orb outside of these same bathrooms at my location. That can be seen on camera, and I posted it on the Twisted and Uncorked Instagram story because it is super spooky and it is right outside of where the story itself happened. So, yeah.
Oh my gosh. And like someone, just a new worker recorded that?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. That's so crazy.
So they had posted it on their story, and their quote for their post was, "The managers say there's ghosts here." And then it was pointing to the little orb, and it was like ghost or a water spot on my camera. And so I messaged her because I haven't worked there in years. So there's so many new people. And I was like, "Do you mind if I use this picture?" She's like, "Yeah, that's fine. Why?"
Yeah.
It's
Oh
like,
my
well,
gosh.
you're seriously a
I used to be one
non-believer.
of those managers, and yes, it is haunted. That's why.
Yeah, that's a fucking ghost you just took a picture of. So
Yeah.
you're
Oh my
welcome.
gosh.
So yeah, that's the old spaghetti factory that I worked at, not the one that I covered. So
Yeah.
and I dealt with this shit all the time.
That's so
This is just
insane.
3 stories. So Kevin used to get the taps all the time. The host sign at the front door that says "We are closed" used to fall over all the time and like fly across the floor.
Ugh.
All sorts of nonsense. There's that.
That was
Now I want to
fun.
hear about UFOs.
Okay. Now we'll talk about my UFO. Okay, so when I was in high school, I was like a bad kid. Like I was bad. Okay. Like I started smoking cigarettes when I was like 15. That's a whole different story.
Yeah, raw.
I used to be extremely against smoking cigarettes because my grandma always smoked like with me in the car, and it drove me insane.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And I don't know if you remember this. Every time I say this to people, no one remembers. I don't know if maybe I was just more into it because I was so against smoking, or if this is one of those whole fucking
Specifically 93 kids.
well,
Like 1993.
what's that thing that Mandela? There we go. A Mandela effect thing. Like, am I the only one who remembers this? If any of you remember this, please tell me. There used to be tobacco commercials to make you stop smoking cigarettes.
Yeah.
And it was like someone would have their hand and they would slap the camera, and there'd be a handprint and it said "Stand 53K." And they'd say, "Stand up, speak out against tobacco. 53,000 people die a year."
Yes.
No one ever fucking remembers that when I say it. Anyway, that was a thing. So I used to write "Stand 53K" on my hand at school.
That's
like
incredible.
I was so angry. When I was in 9th grade, I had to do a report on a law that I think should be in effect. Like I had to do a persuasive report, and I said that smoking should be illegal. Like I was all about it. I had a friend who was, I don't know, maybe 2 grades older than me. Maybe she was 16 or 17 at the time, and she smoked like a pack a day, like a lot. And I would hang out with her. Like, I really wish you didn't. Like, I hate smoking. It's so bad for you. You're damaging yourself, whatever. And she was like, "Okay, how about this? I'll stop smoking for 1 whole month if you smoke 1 cigarette." And I was like, 1 whole month is enough for you to not have this habit anymore.
No, and
totally
this
do
is how
it.
you started, isn't it?
That's how I started smoking.
No.
I smoked the 1 cigarette, and I was like, Wow, I feel high right now and I'm not even doing any illegal drugs. This is kind of cool. Let me have another one. And yeah,
Oh
I smoked
no.
forever.
I
After that.
know, and any of our listeners that watch our YouTube videos, you will occasionally see a little puff come out of
Yeah.
Sierra.
I now vape.
And that's to help her stop smoking. And so
Yeah.
I kind of knew when she was starting this, I was like, oh God, when did she start? I did not think it was because you were
Yeah.
trying to be such a good friend.
I was trying and it backfired on me. And she didn't stop smoking either. She knew that it was just some dumb little peer pressure technique. And honestly, I don't even remember her name anymore. So
Damn it. And you were such a goddamn sweetheart for that.
it ruined me. I also really enjoyed Adderall.
Oh
Um,
no.
Adderall is, for those of you who don't know, Adderall is the prescription drug that is given to people who have ADHD. It's to help you focus. So it's literally given to people who have ADHD to help them focus. I have had a friend in high school who had ADHD, and she took them before any big test or anything like that to help her focus. And she told me, you should take one of these. It'll help you focus on the test. And I was like, no, I'm too scared. Like, what if it doesn't? And she's like, well, let's just take one day and find out. So I took one day, and if you do not have ADHD, it does not do the same thing. It doesn't, I mean, it kind of does make me focus, but it makes me focus on everything. Everything. Yeah, so it's like you're definitely hyper focused, but also you like don't go to sleep. I would literally I would take one usually on a Friday before school, and I would not sleep until 24 hours exactly after I took it. So if I took it at 8 o'clock, I would stay up until 8 o'clock the next morning, like no sleep, not even feeling a tiny bit tired at all. But as soon as that 24 hours,
Like,
as soon as that 24 hours wore off, I was like dead asleep, like in the middle of a conversation, close my eyes, pass out. Like it was insane. My sister knew because I'd be like talking to her and then I'd just be asleep. She's like, wow, okay. My sister was very straight edge.
Cheyenne.
Yeah, when she was little. She got
you know
worse.
who she reminds me of?
What?
Caroline from Two Broke Girls. I don't know her. I just know her from the show.
Yeah.
Plus what you've told me.
Yeah.
And that's who she is to me, is Carolyn.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, that is a great compliment because without a Carolyn, you can't have a Max Black.
Yeah.
Let's face it.
Yep.
That's who we are.
Okay, so anyway, I was a bad kid. That was my point. I didn't do a bunch of crazy drugs or anything like that. I did smoke cigarettes. I did take Adderall. Me and my best friend for this year, Miranda, took Adderall and decided to go out, late at night for a walk. That's what we'd tell my dad we were doing. We're just going for a walk to smoke a cigarette. Because, we didn't want him to know we were smoking cigarettes.
He knew.
He totally
You came
knew.
back and you
smell it.
stunk.
Yeah. So we went on a late night walk to sneak away from our parents who, obviously we didn't tell we were smoking. We were at a shopping center. The townhouse that we lived in was across the street from the back side of like a shopping plaza. We were at the shopping center. It was after hours, so the parking lot was completely empty and it was dark. None of the lights from, stores or anything were on. Everything was off except for the street lights. While we were walking, both of us stopped suddenly, noticing strange lights in the sky. Neither of us said anything to each other. We just stopped and stared. There was a plane, like an actual plane. Everyone knows what a plane looks like when it's up there with a little blinky light. Like, it was a fucking plane. And then there was something else off in the distance of the plane. And the best way I can describe it was like a flying car. Like, I didn't see an actual object, whatever the thing was, but the lights on this object looked like they could be headlights and taillights of a rectangular shaped car. And it was in the sky. They were really far apart from each other, but close enough that
I was gonna make a Harry Potter joke, and then
everyone does.
You're not
Everyone does. I don't know what that means.
That's why you saw that internal process.
Yes, I did. The two were really far apart, but like close enough that we could see them both at the same time looking up. It's not like, we had to turn our heads one way or the other. They were both there, but they were really far apart. The plane was moving at a normal pace that a plane moves at, every other plane I've ever seen, same speed. The other object was moving extremely fast and it was going right towards the car. So like the plane was towards the plane. The plane was going this way. The car thing was coming this way. And like, I seriously thought that the object was going to crash into the side of the plane. Everything happened in just seconds. And as soon as the object reached the plane, I yelled, "Oh my God." And before I even finished speaking, the object stopped right next to the plane, turned sideways, and shot off in the same direction as the plane, way faster. Like it was a fucking race. It was so weird. It was like, I was like, what?
They're like, I'm gonna join this race.
Yes, it was insane.
What?
It looked like a shooting star. It left
That's
so
so
fast. Like it was
crazy.
just out of my view in a second. Me and my friend Miranda looked at each other in like complete disbelief, and we're like, okay, let's go home. Like, I don't know what just happened, but let's go home.
I feel like all good horror movies start the way that you started that story. Like me and my friend Miranda, we were trying to hide it from my dad that we were smoking cigarettes. So we went down this. Yeah.
Definitely.
That's how all horror movies start.
We blamed what we saw on the Adderall and never really talked about it again. But Adderall is not a hallucinogen, guys. That was just our brains like too scared to admit what just happened.
Yeah, I was gonna say you can't hyper focus on something and
that
manifest it.
Yeah. Like that's not the way Adderall works. It is not a hallucinogen. I think about it all the time. Like it was like when I think about it, I have this feeling that is like I'm scared right now. That's the way I felt when I saw it, because I honestly thought that I was going to see two planes or something in a plane crash and explode right above me. Like, and then it was just over.
It was even terrifying. Without that sensation of like feeling like something bad is going to happen, that people that have had UFO encounters feel that like dread or feel that panic or feel that like uneasiness or feel like fear.
Yeah.
But they don't know how to describe it or what caused.
Yeah. It's so
you could say you have like a part of that you feel like maybe, but maybe it was just the fact that it happened to you and that fear is just with you now. Like all of these other people.
Yeah, I wish that I would have like looked up the flight patterns to see who was, like where was that airplane that was over Cincinnati that day? Where was it coming from? Where was it going to? So I could like try to interview those people and ask if they saw a strange UFO or lights up there, like from the plane. You know what I mean? It was in Cincinnati, Ohio, sometime between 2009, 2010. I don't think it was in 2011. It could have been, but I'm pretty sure it was 2009 or 2010. So if you were just in a plane above Cincinnati at some point in those years and you saw something crazy, I want to know about it.
Yes. Please reach out to Twisted and Uncorked at Hotmail or at Gmail, whatever you prefer. We have both.
Yeah, we do.
So, let us know.
That's my UFO story. It was definitely a fucking UFO. Like, I am
totally a UFO.
Yeah. There's no doubt in my mind now that I've learned so much more about UFOs that it was for sure.
Like hearing other people's accounts of it.
Yeah.
And it's not like people that think that UFO stories are lies. It's not like all of these people from all over the world get into a room together and are like, oh yeah, that happened to you. That happened to you. Like, no.
Right. Yeah.
These are all just similar feelings or appearances or things that happen that it's because it's real.
The
government has admitted it's real. So
I know.
Get out of here
help
with
that my dad is like the biggest blue pill guy ever. Like he refuses to believe any conspiracy ever. Like conspiracies are not real to him. Not at all. Even now that the government has said that UFOs exist, he's like, no, they don't. No, they don't. They're just saying that. So like, I feel like being that young at that time, not having done research and listened to things like this about UFOs, I was kind of just in my head like, no, they don't exist. My dad said they don't. Why would they? Why is that what I saw? You know what I mean? Like, I feel like I just
You
explained it
tried to
away.
logic yourself out of it,
Yeah.
yeah.
But
I
like, there is no
have
logic. Planes
a
don't do that.
UFO story, but I don't know if that's what it was still to this day.
Yeah.
And me and Kevin talked about it. We
Huh.
don't know to this day if we were just really, really, really fucking high or if we actually saw that.
Yeah.
Because people that look at the sky at any point in time, they know what planes and
Mhm.
helicopters and things like that do.
Yeah.
But like they're never like, it looked like literally a meteor, like a really bright, and then went up. So it was like the weirdest thing.
Yeah. So we actually do have a couple of listener stories.
Yes, which is why we're
Yeah.
saying we're not promising, because we don't know at which frequency it's gonna come in.
Yeah. So we had
can't
our own
force
stories.
you guys to write the stories.
Right. We had our own stories today, so we wanted to add those in there just to give you examples of the kind of things you're looking for. But also,
Yes.
some listeners did send in some stories.
And we want to give them some love.
Yes, of course.
Take it away.
Okay. So this first one was sent in by Becca.
Hey, Becca. Thanks
Hey,
for sending in your
Becca.
story.
All right. So she says, so let's start the story off early on. My grandfather, great grandmother, and I were all born on the same day. We always shared a close bond, and I enjoyed spending time with both of them. Okay, side note real quick, because yeah, that is weird, but also side note real quick. My family has this weird tradition going right now, and I'm curious if it's going to continue. So, my dad is the firstborn grandchild of my great grandma, and his birthday is the day after my great grandma's birthday. My daughter, which is his grandma. And then my brother is the firstborn of my dad's. So my dad's mom's first grandchild. And my brother's birthday is the day before my grandma's. So my dad's birthday is the day after his grandma's. My brother's birthday is the day before his grandma's, and my daughter's birthday is the day after her grandma's, my mom's.
Weird.
So every generation is born either the day before or the day after their grandma for the past 3 generations so far.
Oh, I hope that
It's so
continues. That's
crazy.
so freaky.
Yeah, I love it. Okay. Anyway, back
All
to
the
her
men in my
story.
family are born on the 18th.
Really?
On my dad's side of the family.
That's crazy.
My grandpa is April 18th. My grandpa is January 18th. My dad is April 18th, and my brother is August 18th.
Yeah.
And
Me and my
then-
kids, I'm on the 22nd, my daughter's on the 2nd, and my son's on the 2nd. So it's like they're
Ooh,
on
freaky.
2 and 2, and I'm 2. I love it. 2's my favorite number.
That's so cute. 2's my favorite number.
Really?
Yeah, I'm so jealous. You have
Yeah.
2 2s in your birthday. Mine's
Yeah.
got only 1 2. Anyways,
Sorry.
Becca, back to you.
Back to Becca. She says, when I was 12, my great grandma passed away. Then 2 years, 2 months, and 2 days later, my grandfather passed away. I took these deaths incredibly difficult. These are who I believe my guardian angels are. On multiple occasions, I've been protected from very serious car accidents. Accidents that should have killed me, but somehow some small thing changed and the accident never occurred. I came around a corner, didn't see a truck in my blind spot, and should have been sideswiped, but I swear the truck somehow moved and didn't hit me at all. Not physically possible. Another time I was supposed to go to a ball game with my friend, and I ended up getting called into work. Showed up and they told me they were never short and didn't know who even called me in. Either way, they believed me and let me stay for 3 hours so I didn't waste my time. That night, my friend got in a car accident and her car was impaled by a tree through the passenger seat where I was supposed to be sitting. Now for the weirdest one of all and what my story is actually about.
Oh my God.
There are no
Relatable.
billboards. But that night there was. For the entire hour-long drive, I thought of that billboard. How I had never seen it. What was that angel about? So many questions. Whatever, continue my drive. About 10 to 15 minutes before I get to Crap Bucket's work, I hit glare ice. I was headed straight for a giant rock cut that would for sure end me. Out of nowhere, my car just starts spinning in circles. I didn't do this. And lands in a soft, fluffy snowbank instead of the two giant rock cuts on either side. A man came along 2 seconds later and pulled me out in a few seconds and asked if I was okay. Not a scratch on me or the car. He kept telling me over and over how I'm so lucky. He saw the whole accident and didn't understand how my car shifted the way it did, and that somebody must be watching over me. Thanks, Gramps. The scary part, on our way back home, I wanted to point out the billboard to Crap X. It was gone. No billboard. I've mentioned
No
this story
angel.
to multiple other people, and nobody has ever seen the billboard either. Either way, that's my story about angels. Sorry for the theatrics.
Oh my god, I love the theatrics, Becca.
I do too. It was great.
That was
It's
such a great
amazing.
story.
Oh,
Oh my god, I'm dead. Are you
It's-
kidding me?
it's the sweetest thing I've ever read.
Guardian angel.
Yes. I love
And
that.
grandpas. What a good episode
Yeah.
for grandpas. Wow, that is crazy. Thank you for sharing. Oh, I have goosebumps.
I know. I have like, you know how I get like teary-eyed when
Yeah.
I feel like there's a real ghost encounter. Well, now I'm like halfway teary-eyed because I feel like it's real ghostly, but also because it was so happy sad, you know? Like tears of happiness.
yes. What? It's like the elevator game tears, but confusing her. She's happy. There's no lady waiting for you on the 5th floor.
Mhm.
And if you guys don't get that reference, you need to be a Patreon. So this one is from Nicole.
Okay.
What up, Nicole?
Hello.
So she says, Hola, ladies. I've got 2 stories. Do whatever you'd like with them. They're short and sweet. Story number 1, the Tinder pioneer. It was summer of 2020. As if the profound fuckery of the year had been adequate enough, the universe said, let's get you murdered also.
Oh my God.
One summer eve, I was taking a peruse through the Tinder, hoping to find a decent dong for a gal to become familiar with.
you
Along
go.
came this chap. I shall call him Bruce. This fellow was a cutie, not hot enough to trigger alarms of a catfish, but not ugly enough to make. Nicole, why are you just the greatest? But not ugly enough to make one assume that he sells mushrooms from his mother's basement. We matched. We began to chat. His profile was normal, vague, boring, but normal. We chatted through the night. Several days later, Bruce sends me a message asking, so are you in? Me, having not a single clue as to what in Satan's nutsack this leg... I should have let you read this. Me, not having a single clue as to what in Satan's nutsack this lad was referring to, asked what he was talking about. He then directed me back to his profile. On a second look, this odd little duck had changed his write-up to be along the lines of, I have purchased a private island and I'm searching for a woman to relocate to this island. We would start a community together, start our own government.
A cult?
I'm needing specimens to populate the island with.
Oh my
Those
God.
who are not interested in committing to this cause, please swipe left.
Oh my
So-
fucking God.
Hard pass along, I went with that one. Needless to say, I never messaged him back again. However, I'm not sure where this island is or if his pursuits continue.
What the fuck? I almost wish you would have said yes just to see what the fuck was going to happen afterwards.
Yeah, Nicole,
You know?
we have questions. First of all, what is
Like-
his name? We want to know.
Yeah, the
Second of
real
all,
name.
Is this profile still active? Third of all, do we know where he's at with his island?
Is his name Jeffrey Lepstein.
Is it? We need to know.
Jesus, this is insane.
That was so great. Please write in more stories because you are a fun writer. Okay, second little story. I went to school with this guy who was odd, but not like I'll take your skin weird, but weird enough that I brought Skittles to math class every day to stay in his good books. Kind of weird. All right.
Okay.
I live in a small town. Everyone knows everyone. There was a murder in the neighboring village from a few years back. Apparently, it was a revenge motive type thing, but this guy I went to school with killed a guy. He stabbed him 8 times in the chest and then skinned the guy from the waist down. This dude was
What?
obviously caught, but I never heard anything more of what became of good old Skin Leg. Oh my god.
Oh my god.
I've done my best to search on the interweb. Maybe you ladies will have better luck. I have left the name of my town and this lad's name in the comments below for your research. Please let me know if you're able to find anything, as I have not been able to. Cheers.
Holy
Nicole.
fucking shit.
What? So what I'm gathering is somebody she went to school with skinned somebody.
Please try that again.
Ah! Echo, now is not the time.
The time is 9:04 p.m. Have a good night.
Have a great night.
That scared the shit out of me. I just heard somebody talking.
Oh my god.
Why are you listening? No one is talking to you.
That's an
I'll
insane fucking story, though.
Right? Good old Skin Leg, she calls
So,
him.
is this the same person who she brought Skittles to?
Yes, because she
Good
was
thing-
afraid he was going to snap one day.
Good thing she brought him Skittles, so he didn't get revenge on her.
Smart girl, Nicole. Seriously. And also, how do you have this track record with men?
Yeah, that's a pretty rough
Go.
experience with two
Right?
different men.
We have more questions, and we will reach out accordingly.
We need more stories, please.
We
And
need
thank
more
you.
stories. Yes, thank you. All
right.
right.
Last one. Last one. This one is from Emily. Just making sure she used her name.
Yeah.
Ready?
Before you're like, hey, this.
All right. She says, "Hey guys, my name is Emily, she, her pronouns. Thank you for adding that. And I
Yes.
want to start by saying that you guys are awesome. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I started listening around original episode 10 and have listened regularly since.
You started on Inebriated Inputs crossover episode. You were a brave woman. Just saying. That was a wild episode.
I'm pretty sure I listened to that one. That was a wild
Yeah,
episode.
it was just about squirrel porn and
Yes!
nothing else.
Oh my
But-
fucking god. Speaking of squirrel porn.
That is not how you start conversations.
No, I have to send you this video right now.
Okay.
Hang on.
Oh God.
It's not porn, I promise. It's just about squirrels. I love to see. Sorry, she continues. I love to see how the podcast has grown, and although I miss Caitlin, Sierra is pretty awesome. Thank you
She
very
is
much.
awesome.
Although I have many paranormal stories myself, I would like to share a story about night terrors that my husband used to have as a small child. Thank you very much. This is me talking now. Thank you very much, Emily, for telling us the story. However, I want to know your paranormal stories as well. Okay. Continuing. All right. So, anyway, Emily, send us your paranormal stories.
Yes, we need them.
Back to her husband's. She says, every time I talk about it, I get goosebumps. When my husband was around 4 years old, he started to have night terrors about little men that were coming to hurt him and his family.
No.
No. His parents spoke to his pediatrician about this, as he would keep them awake at night screaming and crying, and they were told that there was nothing they could do except lock him in his room to keep him safe.
Oh my gosh.
The night terrors continued for a few years before they eventually stopped. The little men that plagued his dreams were probably 18 to 24 inches tall and glowed white.
Oh, no.
They wore clothing similar to spacesuits and wore respirators covering their faces. In his nightmares, they would always start to climb out of the trees behind his house around dusk and make their way towards his house. If they were able to get close enough to a person, they would remove a respirator from a backpack that they carried and place it over the person's face.
Oh.
Once these respirators were attached, they would essentially take control of the individual's mind. This is where it gets creepy. This is creepy, Emily. Oh my gosh. Okay. One night, he was screaming and banging on his bedroom door that the little men were coming to take his baby. His mom told me that she remembers this night and it breaks her heart every time she thinks about it. My husband's sister is 2 years younger than him, and when she was born, he referred to her as his baby. My kids are 18 months apart, and my daughter did the same thing with my son. That was her baby. The next morning, when his mom went to get his sister out of her crib, she noticed odd scratch marks on her back that were not there when she put her to sleep the night before. Not sure if the scratches were from the little men or just an odd coincidence, but spooky nonetheless. Keep up the great work and stay twisted. Cheers. That's it. Holy shit. Who were these green men?
I have more questions, Emily.
Oh my gosh.
I need to know. What
that was
is
amazing,
this?
but oh my gosh. Is it
That
like
is so scary.
what was that one book that had like little people? Do you know what I'm talking about? It was a kid's book.
The Borrowers?
Yes! The Borrowers!
This is how I know
How
I'm the
did you
same
know?
person, because you literally gave me nothing.
That is exactly what I was thinking of. So
Yes.
were the little green men like the Borrowers, or were they like aliens?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Were they hiding in the cracks of your pantry, or were they probing you? We have more
which
questions.
one? This is important.
These are important differential factors that we need to know, like yesterday.
I can't believe you got that book.
The Little Men.
The book with the little men. That's hilarious. That book scared the shit out of me.
Yes! I know. I thought there was little people on everything.
Yes.
I was like, Mom, you can't wipe that. There's little people on it. She's like, what? Didn't they make that into a movie too?
I don't know. There's a movie called The Box Trolls, but it's not really the same thing.
That is very different.
Yeah.
And that movie
And
is
there's
kind
another
of
movie-
adorably terrifying.
There's another movie that reminds me of The Borrowers that's called Epic. It's called Epic.
What? I would not have gotten that. And on that note, don't let little people come into your kitchen and steal your dining room crumbs.
Yes. We don't mean little people as in human little people. We mean little people as in borrower.
The borrowers, yes. I thought that was a given based on the conversation we were having, but
Just in case.
way to make me look like an asshole, Sierra. If anything, you and I are part of that club.
Yes.
over the normal sized people club.
Yeah.
So thank you guys so much for writing in your stories. It means
Thank
a lot.
you.
We will group in the next round of listener stories on our next volume. So if you write in a story and you don't hear it right away, we promise we will tell it on the show, unless for whatever reason you just want to share it with us and you don't want to share it on the show, in which case let us know. And that's totally fine too. But yeah. We loved these. These are insane. We have follow-up questions to all of them, which you will be hearing from us about. And this was a lot of fun. So it doesn't need to be anything crazy. It could literally just be like
A Tinder story.
yes, of a man who wants to start his own island. And if you happen to run across this Tinder profile as a listener, please send it our way.
Yeah, take a
Follow-up.
screenshot.
We have
want to know.
follow-up questions for this man.
Yes.
Because clearly he has no other criteria but willing participants, which I mean is fine, but
At least he's asking for willing participants. I will say that.
yes, that is true. Otherwise, Nicole would not be here, I'm sure. And that would be a different story.
Yes.
So stay safe, guys. Don't start any weird islands.
Mm-hmm.
Don't murder anybody.
Yep, don't do that.
Don't sneak cigarettes and see aliens instead. Don't skin people from the waist down.
Love your grandparents.
Love your grandparents. Yes. Always love your grandparents and your guardian ghosts /
Yeah.
angels
One day they may protect you.
from a crazy freak accident where you should be dead
Mhm.
or a broken nose. You never know. And we love you guys lots. A reminder to rate, review, and subscribe, and check us out on Patreon if you haven't already. And in the meantime, keep
Keep it twisted.
Nailed it!